Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
So I got a hand for you that's a 2 to 100 spread limit hand. We
Okay.
don't got no limit in Minnesota, so
Yeah. Canterbury?
running aces actually just north of St. Paul.
Okay.
All right, so I have a tight winning image so far in the session.
So tell me tell me the cap structure and tell me is it a street bet structure or what?
Yeah, so well, it's just basically $100 is the max bet per action. So
Okay.
if someone bets 100, you can raise to 200, but that's the cap per action.
And how much can you buy in for?
300 is the cap.
Okay. So it's a $300 cap buy-in. It's no limit, but you can't bet more than 100. But you can just continue to go back and forth at 100, something like that.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's capped. I think it's unlimited. It's unlimited heads up, but it's capped at 5 raises
Okay.
for 3 ways.
Yep.
So that almost never happens.
Okay. Yep.
Anyway, so tight image. I open up 7 of spades, 7 of hearts from under the gun, plus 2 to 10,
Okay.
and only the big blind calls.
Okay. And how deep are you guys?
What was that?
How deep are you?
We are 210 effective. I cover the villain.
Okay.
All right, so the flop comes out, and it's 6 of spades, 3 of spades, 3 of diamonds.
6 of spades, 3 of spades, 3 of diamonds.
Yep.
Okay.
And the big blind leads into me for 24.
That's pretty interesting. I don't know if
Yeah,
you're
I thought
I don't know if you're really familiar with my some of my older material, or I don't know if you're a CLP sub, but back in the day when the games were a lot softer at Commerce 510, when it wasn't so euroed up, you just see a lot of recreational bad players, and I'd talk about how, and that's probably sort of equates probably to like this level of play. That's how good it was, like back in 2008, 2009, and I talked about how you can do some really unbalanced things here, like raise as a bluff and just barrel, because when your opponent's not like ever leading a 3, this is going to be a 6 or a flush draw, and if it doesn't come out the flush draw, there's going to be overcards to the 6, and you could just literally just barrel through with like any 2 cards against someone that's never really fast playing a hand.
And do you consider doing that with a pair as well?
Well,
Not
we'll
just,
talk
like,
about
your
that.
King, queens, and stuff like that?
Well, I'll talk about. Well, here's the other thing though too is that like then you start to think, well, what about your value hands like aces or kings? And I always used to preach, a little bit unbalanced. Like I would just sort of tend to go a little bit smaller with value, and just sort of start pounding them with bluffs. The stack sizes are going to be relevant here, obviously, because you guys aren't that deep. But that's sort of the backstory with the kind of the way a hand like this is shaped. Sevens is sort of interesting, right? Because you've got vulnerability to just like overcards and a flush draw, or just even like a random shit bluff like Queen Jack. You know what I mean? That he thinks you missed. So, the other thing though is that sevens sort of like you could be behind, like if the guy called with like 9s or 10s, right? If you're not familiar with the guy, I would tend to probably just call and see what develops. I think probably my cutoff for saying like I'm going to raise here and not fold and happily get it in would probably be like 10s maybe, depending on the player, 10s or jacks, 9, something really close. But a lot of times this is going to be a lot of flush draws. It's going to be like a 6, and it's going to be a lot of pairs too. So
Yeah, and the other thing that I thought that he might have as well as those hands is like a 5-4 that just flop open-ended and tried to bet on a flop that didn't hit my range too well.
Yeah.
So I decided not to go anywhere on this, at least not yet. I think his range is too wide, so I just called. So the pot's about $70 for the turn.
Okay, so hero calls.
Yep. The turn comes the Jack of Hearts.
Okay.
And he bets 40.
So he bets 40 now. I mean, I would still probably just continue to sort of call down. I mean, I think that if you well, it's interesting though, because you guys have what, like, so he bets 40. That means he's got 150 left in his stack, right? Something like that ish.
Right.
Yeah, I would probably just continue to call down here.
Yep. I don't really see a reason to fold on this card, so that's what I did. Just toss him the call.
Yep.
And then the river's an interesting card. It's the 3 of clubs.
Wow. Okay.
So I figure like he's gonna shut it down with a lot of his bluffs in this spot. Like
Yep.
he's not gonna expect me to fold like if he's betting with a flush draw or a straight draw. So I didn't expect him to bet
How much did he
too
bet
many
on the
of his
turn
hands.
against?
But
40, right? 40, sorry.
so yeah, I bet 40 on the
Okay.
turn,
Yep.
and he ends up firing the river for 80.
Um, this is the big blind, right? Bets
Yes.
80. I mean, I would just call down. I mean, I think you have a relative simple call.
Yeah.
I think a more
Oh.
interest before you tell me what happened. I think a more interesting situation would be what if the guy checked at the end? I thought that's what you were gonna say. I thought that that's what you're gonna say was gonna that he was gonna what he was gonna do.
I think I'd probably I I just don't think that I can really get called by worse if I bet sevens at the end.
Because the
If
pot's like
he
one.
did check me
The
in
pot's like
position.
150, right? So
Yeah.
right. So if he checks to you, um, yeah, the question becomes like, can you bet like 30 or
He's
40
like
and
with
get called
six
by
or
like a
something.
six? Yeah. Because he's
Yeah.
not checking to check raise the river, I don't think. You know what I mean? So
Right. Right. Right.
the question becomes, can you like sort of like I might go for some sick thin value and bet like 30 or 40 to get called by a six. Yeah, you're not going to get called by
Missed draws, but yeah,
a
that's a good point.
misdraw,
That's a
and I
good
don't
point.
think a Jack X of spades is really going to check the river all that much. And unfortunately, here,
Oh
I
no,
think
top
that
out.
you probably, I'm just going to call here. And, if he's got a Jack, so be it. But again, I'm not going to make a hero fold here. I think just calling through is fine.
Yeah, pretty much for all the same reason. I called and he actually had pocket eights.
Pocket eights, yeah. See, that's where, like I
Yeah.
said, the sevens isn't like strong enough to start, running that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
that's interesting though that he bet that. A lot of people would check, but so
Right.
hero
That's what
calls.
surprised me. I thought that his bet was somewhat polarizing for this kind of game because normally people aren't going to go for 80 with eights on that run out, especially
Well,
when I
remember though,
raised
he's
from
got a
like
sort of a
I don't think it
full.
was
I mean, he's got a full house, right? I mean, it's not a full house to the board. Like, it's
true.
not a clean overpair, but it looks like he's not really betting all that much, too. Um, I don't know how often. Like, I'm not sure if you think that that's a winning bet by him or not. Like, are you the type of player that calls down with like ace high? Like, say for example, you had you know, ace king or something like that, and you just decided that you didn't need to turn it into a bluff on the flop, and you just was like, you're just gonna
Uh,
call down. Like, are you gonna call down? Because I mean, depending on the sizing, I would be very curious. You know what I mean? If I didn't have a
I mean, I
spade in
would
my
be
hand.
tempted to call, but I don't think that a three river would be one I would call down on, specifically with ace king, just because I don't think most of his bluffs are going to fire when it doesn't look like I'm going to fold anything.
Well, I mean, you do make an interesting point in that sense because you can look at this a couple of different ways. Like the three is actually a really good card for you in the sense if you were heroing down with ace king and you thought
Hmm.
that because it doesn't bring in any of the draws, right? On the
Right.
flip side to that, if you think that it just looks like you're gonna call, I mean, we sometimes call that Fifth Street Chicken in Crush Live Poker, and he bets anyways. Um, yeah, but I don't know if I'm necessarily convinced that like if he's got 4 or 5, he's gonna check and give up. You don't think he's gonna take a stab at it at the end?
I think, I suppose that's pretty player dependent. I think in these games, but I'm just thinking that when I call two streets, my hand, I think my hand has a lot of pairs in it that are above sixes as well, like
Hmm.
sevens, eights, nines, tens, jacks. I think I have all of that. Um, and so I just don't know if he's thinking about my range. I'm not sure if he's going to do that. I think so. If he's a weaker player, I might consider calling with ace king.
Yeah, but
If he's a better
wait a minute,
player,
buddy.
I'd play
What's your name?
Dalton.
So I mean, from a broad perspective, when you say is he thinking about your range, like I'm going to ask. I mean, I would say that it's 2-3. It's $210 effective. The only time that I would ever or $300 cap buy-in, and I think you guys have some card rooms where there are bigger games around in the area, right? Like if somebody wants to play
Um,
bigger no limit, they can. So I can't give credit to somebody who's now maybe you obviously you're a student of the game and you're thinking about that, but we sometimes and I've had this problem too myself. We sometimes give our opponents way too much credit because a lot of
mhm.
times they're not even thinking on the first level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. That's a fair
I
point.
mean, is there a bigger game in that room, or is this the biggest game?
No, 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 no. For pure Texas Hold'em, this is the biggest game that I think runs in the state. You have to go to Omaha if you want to play bigger.
So at Canterbury, they don't play no limit.
Not in
It
Minnesota, as far as I know. It's
it's
all
all
2 to 100 spread limit.
oh that I mean, but they don't have like a bigger like blind. Oh, maybe because it's small because of the
No.
spread limit. Yeah, and it turns into
The
like a
only thing that
hybrid
they have
limit
close
game.
is they have survival games that run like 1,000 deep, and the blind structure is a bit different. But that's kind of they get around the whole. I think
But
it's
that's why
spread
they play
law.
like some big limit games like Canterbury, right? Because they can't play
Yes,
no
they
limit.
do play
I
big
get
limit
it.
games. They play
Yeah.
like 816 and such.
Okay. All right, man. Thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out CrushLivePoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.